all the parts are in. Got my new compressor, and it's new, not rebuilt. I need to, per the instructions of the compressor, I need to dump the oil out and put a little PAG 46 in it. The system holds 5 ounces. This is a little bottle I use. This is actually some oil left over from the last AC job I did. I don't remember what weight it is, so I'll just dump that out and fill it with 5 ounces of PAG 46, which I've got right here. That's 8 ounces, 8-ounce bottle. And here's the new condenser. Like I said, I ordered a expansion valve because when I was looking at, this is from Rock Auto, expansion valves. When I was looking at compressors, I almost bought one from Rock Auto, and I looked at the notes on the compressor in Rock Auto, and it said must replace. Well, of course it said replace the dryer and all that. It didn't say replace the condenser, which on this model you need to. But it said replace, must replace orifice valve or orifice tube / expansion valve. And I can understand replacing a orifice tube because it is, it's got a screen in it. And all the shrapnel from a dead compressor will go through and get stuck in the orifice tube. I really don't see any shrapnel in this one. It's got some right here. I think that's probably from where the tube came out. You'll see a lot of junk in this compressor. Anyway, so I ordered one, and I started tearing into the dash. I just took the glove box out and to see if I could see the expansion valve, because the expansion valve is on the evaporator core. And I did say it was condenser. Yeah, that's the condenser. And the so the expansion valve's on the evaporator core, and I couldn't. With the glove box out, I was hoping it was on the passenger side. It's in the middle. And so I went and I was like, well, maybe I can still at least get to it with it still in there and get the expansion valve out, and you can't. So I looked up, and to replace the expansion valve, you have to pull the center console out. You got to pull the passenger side airbag module, glove box. I mean, it's an absolute nightmare to get the thing out. I mean, bad. So I contacted the manufacturer of the compressor where I bought it and asked them if the expansion valve has to be replaced, because their warranty did not state that it had to. I looked all through their warranty information for the compressor. Did not state that you had to replace the expansion valve. So I sent them an email, hey, you know, on this car, 2008 CX7, do you have to replace the expansion valve, or can you just flush it? They said you can just flush it. Does not have to be replaced. So big relief. Bought an expansion valve for nothing, but it was only $15. So I will put it on the shelf, and if the expansion valve ever goes bad, I have one for it. So we're not going to replace the expansion valve because it's a nightmare, and because we can flush it. So what I need to do now is I need to flush the system. And to flush it, I've got this kit. You put your AC flush fluid which I've got this. This is left over. I've got about 1/4 of a quart. Not quite 1/4 of a quart. I got a new bottle over there that I picked up. When I flush, you pour that in here, put your air supply on here, and you blow through the lines, and it sends air and AC flush, all through the system. So don't have to flush the condenser because I got a brand new one with the dryer attached. So I just need to flush the evaporator core and the lines. So let me get that done, and then we'll also get started on mounting the new compressor. I don't know how much I'll get done tonight, but we'll see what we can get done. Alright, so it's the next day. I flushed it last night, and all I did was use that tool I showed you and went through all the lines and blew the flush stuff through it, then took just my air blower without the flush stuff and blew air through it till I got clean air blowing out there to get all the flush stuff out. Now it's clean, and I blew through, there's another line right there, blew through that one, flush stuff through it. So now everything is flushed. You don't have to flush the compressor, it's a brand new compressor, and it's a brand new condenser, so don't have to flush it. So now that the system is flushed, oh, and I flushed this line right here. I took it out. I'm going to replace I bought an O-ring kit, and I'm going to replace the O-rings. I've already started replacing them. And then these connectors, I showed you the tool to remove them. To get them back in, they just shove back in here. And the O-ring kit came with new little spring holders, spring clips, whatever you want to call them, that go down in there. And that's what goes in there, sits over this, and holds the line in place. Focus. And then, the tool, when you slip that tool in there, it pushes that spring off of this lip, and it comes out. So, let me get all these O-rings replaced. We've got quite a few on the lines too. This one bolts to the compressor. There's another one. That one down there bolts to the compressor. The other end of it bolts to the condenser. I think it's fallen down in there. So let me get all those O-rings replaced, and then we'll need to take these caps off the compressor. And instructions say to dump the oil that's out of it, and then went ahead and just grabbed me a new bottle instead of dumping the oil out of what was in the other bottle. I'll use that little bit of refrigerant oil on O-rings and stuff, and I'll fill this up with 5 ounces of PAG 46. Put a little bit in the compressor, a little bit in the new condenser, and might try to get some in the evaporator core through there. Just kind of spread it all through the system. So 5 ounces. So let me get everything ready, get the O-rings replaced, and then I'll probably pick up where I'm putting the compressor in, or where I've got the compressor in, just those 4 bolts that we took out, and then we got to plug that line in for the wire in for the clutch. And I've got a few ounces of oil in the compressor, and I put these little plugs back in it so that I don't get dirt and stuff in it when I'm mounting the compressor, and then I'll pull them out when I put the lines back on. So I'm ready to go ahead and set that down in there. Got my bolts ready. Let me set it down there, get the plugged back in for the clutch, and get it bolted in. Alright, new compressor's bolted in. Still got the little plugs that came with it in there to keep dirt from getting in. I'm going to go ahead and hook the lines up to the compressor. I've got that little bracket bolted onto the compressor. Got the plug in for the clutch plugged in. So now I'm just going to hook our lines up, and then I'll start putting the radiator hoses back on that I took off, and then we'll be ready to put the condenser in. Alright, so I've got the lines hooked up. Make sure not to over tighten those because they are threading into
the aluminum compressor, they'll strip out easy. So just get them tight enough. And then I'm gonna get the coolant lines hooked up. All right, got the coolant lines hooked back up, way down there too. So we're now ready to put the condenser in. And then we'll have to put, I took this one line out, put it in once I get the condenser in. And then this line right there, get it out of the way because the condenser connects to it. So I think we're ready to set it in. Alright, so got that line back in, got some oil in the evaporator from there, and got it snapped into place there. I had to undo this line, or this cable, to get it out, so put the cable back. And got this bracket bolted back in. Got the condenser in there, it just sits on rubber mounts down at the bottom. Let's see, right there, rubber mounts. Ended up reusing the old rubber mounts because I like them better than the one that came on the new condenser. And it just bolts in at the top like that. I checked the bolt on the dryer to make sure it was tight. It came pre-installed. I put the rest of my 5 ounces in the condenser and got that line snapped in right there. Got this line right here bolted in. So the AC system is now back together. So I'm going to go ahead and hook my vacuum pump up and let it be pulling a vacuum while I go ahead and well, first of all, I'm going to turn the compressor a few times to make sure, you know, the oil's freed up, make sure it's not locked up with oil, and get kind of the oil circulating through the lines. And then I'm going to hook up my vacuum pump and I'll pull a suction on it while I get the radiator and all that stuff back into place. Pulling the vacuum. And I've just got to get the radiator back in. Sorry, compressor's making, or the vacuum pump's making a lot of noise. Radiator is in. Once I got the radiator in, like I showed you when it coming off, it's just got these little rubber mounts that go in there, and then it's got those little caps that go over it. I'm gonna put the caps on it, but that's in, and it just sits in 2 rubber mounts. It's like a little post on the bottom of the radiator that sits in the 2 rubber mounts. And then I slip the fan in, and it is extremely difficult to get it in there. This piece right here is in the way. You got to take the dipstick out and then squeeze it in here. It's very tight. You can see we're definitely pulling a good vacuum. This hose is wanting to collapse. Let's see what else. Connected this back. I don't think I remember showing that when I removed it, but just to give me more clearance, I undid this little vacuum line here. Let's see what else. Oh, I bolted the transmission cooler lines back in here. Now all I need to do is this one goes down here, so I'm going to go underneath, connect this one and the other one, connect the bottom radiator hose, and then I'll connect the top radiator hose. And I need to put the 3 bolts in the top. I've just got them right here. There's 3 in the bottom. I have not tightened these down yet. Wanted to get the bottom started first before I tighten those down. There's just 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. Need to put the bottom radiator drain in. Need to put the coolant bottle in. Got to put this little thing here in, which goes down in here. And I don't know what else. We'll get all that stuff done and we'll go from there. I gotta put the belt on it. But it's coming along. Hard part's done. Alright, I have to talk loud here because it's loud under here. There's the bottom radiator hose hooked up. Transmission cooler line. The other transmission cooler line. And the 3 bolts for the fans. Right there. And there's one of those mounts that the radiator goes into. So we're pretty much done under here, other than I'm going to slip the belt on down here and get it where all I have to do is slip it on at the top. And then I can start putting cooling in. I've got all these. I had taken the clamp off of here so I can twist this hose. So I've got that one back in place. And like I said, I did this bracket. Here's the bottom side of the compressor. All these bolts are tight. There's 2 on the bottom, there's 2 on the top. And the lines are tight. And I think that's pretty much it. From to here. So next we just need to go up top and do the top radiator hose and the belt and the snorkel tube and the overflow bottle. Alright, I think I'll show you all the drain. I think I showed it to you. It's right pretty much in the middle of the radiator. Right there. It just the 12mm head on it. Good plastic plug. Don't over tighten it in. It's got a little rubber gasket. So we'll just put that back in and snug it up. Alright, so I've got pretty much done. I gotta put the cover back over the engine. But put 1.1 pounds of Freon in it. Or 134A. And it's getting cold now. Cap back on here. This cap was missing, so I put a little plastic cap on it and put a piece of tape over it to just hold it on. I'll have to get a cap for that one so no trash gets in there. Compressor's way down in there. Belt's back on it. So we are all done. Just gotta let it down. Coolant is topped off. Overflow bottle's full. Well, not full, but at the line. So we're done. Thanks for watching.